Hello and welcome to the Power of Africa Conference 2022. I'm Adesope Olajide. I'll be the moderator for this panel. The panel will tag the influence of media in the propagation of entertainment, arts, and culture. Joining us on this panel, I'll be starting with Miss Richardine Batty, who will be joining us here. Hi there, Richardine.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Richardine Barty. I'm a PR specialist and I'm from Liberia, lived in New York for a while, and it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, up next on this panel is Ibim Kuki, all the way from Nigeria to Ibim.
Hi, what's up,
Hi,
everyone?
Ibim.
My name is Ibim Cookie, and I'm a multi-award-winning artist and architect from.
Thank you very much, Ibim. Thank you for joining us. Next up, and finally, will be Mr. Ikedi Iziguzo, a journalist from Nigeria. Hi there, sir.
Good evening from here. I'm Lagos, Abuja, Nigeria sometimes. I'm a journalist and I've been at that for about 4 decades, reporting anything that could be reported. But the impact of art and culture in all that we do is so important. So I'm very happy to be here.
Well, you being the last but not the least to have come in, Mr. Ikedi, I'd like to put the first question to you. Why are media arts and culture seen as distinct fields? Of course, seen as distinct fields. What are your thoughts about the importance of media in the propagation of arts and culture? To be honest.
Well, the media essentially are dealing with life and culture, arts, media, dances, whichever they are all about life. But sometimes such distinction is made about them that we now appear to be competing instead of working together to achieve the best in all we do. There's so much about art and culture that we cannot do we can't do without them. Essentially, they are our lives. But the narratives the media put out are very important. And particularly for us in Africa, we need to start developing our own narratives. Most times we tend to compare ourselves with what others are doing, and in that we lose a lot of our own culture.
Thank you very much. You speak about the importance of media. I'd like to go to Ibim. Do you think the media has influenced your career journey in any way? And can you explain how? I think we've lost Ibim for a second. But whilst we're trying to get Ibim back, I would like to go to Richardine. How important, Mr. Ikedi spoke about our own narratives. How important is it for African artists and creatives to control their own narratives?
It's very important because, especially in America, it's a new territory, and the American people, they really enjoy the music, but they don't know the stories about the artists that they're listening to. So if we're able to give them a glimpse into Nigeria and other parts of Africa, it will help the American people especially connect to the music and the culture.
You speak about the connection via media. I'd like to, maybe ask you, Richardine, having been in the industry for quite some time, what are the changes that you've seen as a PR specialist in trying to promote Afrobeats or African entertainers in your world?
So now people are way more receptive. They're coming back. They're like, oh, you reached out to me about this person during the pandemic. Are you still connected to them? Everybody's very excited. People are willing to learn. So I think it's a great time to control the narrative and tell our stories because it's ready to be spotlighted. Like it's fresh and new here.
Mr. Ikedi, you spoke about the fact that, Africans have to also not look elsewhere in how other people are doing it. What are some of the examples you think you have in terms of what, African media practitioners and journalists like yourself can be doing to support this international movement that African creatives are enjoying at the moment?
Okay, maybe I go back a little bit. The world is globalizing, has globalized. So the tendency to consume what other people are producing is very high, particularly
Yep.
when they make it
Yep.
convenient, the sounds are better, you can access them. But what we are saying is that African artists must produce things to supply to this globalized world. So our voices must be heard and they must be from us. And then talking about those narratives, just as we are saying, our stories have to be told by us. And the
Mm.
world is interested in hearing those stories because we've come a long way of people thinking there is nothing about us. So from the media, the musicians, the PR people, and so on, whether you are in film, theater, these stories have to be told with African perspectives. If not, they are also misunderstood easily.
Absolutely. Ibn, uh, hopefully you can hear me loud and clear. I wanted to ask you, do you think the media has been influential in your career journey so far? And if you could share with us how the media has helped you, that would be nice. Ibn, I think we're having a little
Yeah,
bit
yeah.
of a
Okay, sorry.
kind. Yes. Did you hear the question? Yeah. I think his internet is a little bit delayed. Let me go to Richard Din for this. How do we explain
Yeah, I
that
had the
there are
question. Can you hear me now?
we can hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ibim is a little bit stuck. Hold your thoughts, Ibim.
Yeah.
Let me go to Rich. Let me go to Richard Dean for this, right? Richard Dean, I think at the moment, of course, African pop music, African pop culture is getting a lot of exposure internationally. Mainly the term Afrobeats that we use as an umbrella term. However, we all know that music coming out of Africa, from Sierra Leone, Liberia, South Africa, Ghana, is not Afrobeats. Now, how do we explain that there are more music genres, in Africa than just Afrobeats? So, do we just let them consume this first
No,
before we
no,
start to break it down?
no. Me personally, I think the artists that have the spotlight, like the Whiz Kids and the Burnas, Tiwa, they should take their platform and say, okay, yes, I'm the king and queen of Afro beats, but there are other styles. And these are the artists that are leading those musical genres, so people can go ahead and go check them out and do their own research. I think every time that one of us speak, we should do the work and say, okay, yes, you love this Afrobeat song, and we all love Essence, but you should check out this thing here from this country or this part of the world.
Mm, mm,
You have to do that work.
absolutely. Mr. Ikedi, you were smiling there. Do you have something to add to that?
You know what I was just thinking about is the danger we all face because of commercialization.
Mm,
Afrobeat is so popular now, so an artist that who wants to make some money and quickly we do that. But if I were a whiz kid, if I have a show, I'll put in an artist who does another form of music. If
mm,
they ask me to tell them this is not all we have, I know you enjoy Afrobeat and all that, listen to this. I think if we have such collaborations, they will help over time because some of these artists we are talking about, they have good music. There are different types of music from what other people are playing, but they don't have the platform. They are not known. But if you have the person play for 2 minutes, 5 minutes in your show and so on, you'll be doing a great job.
absolutely. That's a fantastic point. Ibim, since I think I have you now, can you just give us a little rundown of how important the media has been in your own career and what exactly that they've done? That's internet from Nigeria, ladies and
So,
gentlemen.
as we all know, basically, social media space right now is a visual thing, and it has helped me a lot and have helped like a lot of contemporary. It has helped like me and a lot of contemporary Nigerian artists to break the barrier of having to be physically present in spaces for our creativity or our art to be seen and heard. And generally speaking, the use of hashtags, and for example, someone like me, originally, I'm an architect, so I read architecture, but social media has helped me really take my art to galleries and museums across the world, which I never thought it would get to, because before now we had to be in those spaces physically. So when we now ask these questions as to why is it that we find out that black people are in the history of the foreigners and the Western world, but we don't go to black museums and we don't go to at museums and auctions and see black people. So now there's hunger for black people to be represented in this story and in historical part of the world right now. And it has helped us really push that narrative across.
Absolutely. Mr. Ikedi, I wanted to come to you for this. Richard Dean has spoken about how the doors are starting to open internationally. Everybody's enjoying Afrobeats and African talents. I have spoken a couple of times about the artists becoming my ambassadors and representing different countries and continents and the entire continent in such a positive way. And now bringing tourism back to countries like Nigeria, Ghana. I wanted to ask you directly, what can be done from these individual countries and the continent as a whole to maximize the opportunities in these areas for the benefit of the continent? What should be done with all this awareness that the world is getting from Africa? How can we maximize this?
Okay, we look at arts, culture, media, film, and all that as nothing. That's the thinking. But it's a very great economy. The British knew that way back 1992 and set out to exploit. So that is a great economy. It involves food, it involves music, film, arts, clothing, just name it. So if our artists, just beyond maybe making money or becoming influential, could press that influence to policymakers so that they understand that this is an economy we are not exploring. So that way you cannot see people have shows that stretch from Ghana to Zimbabwe, Kenya, and all that. And it's properly organized. So our own artists, whether they are abroad or in the continent, can have shows, without that type of collaboration from Cairo to Cape and all that, and they become calendar events. So tourists then can move with them. Within those shows, you can have art exhibitions. There are also great opportunities to have those types of music that people don't get to hear. So next time, I was in Botswana, I heard this type of music, I'm going back. So the tourists will have more things to do than seeing animals, which is not bad anyway. But the music, the culture, the lives, our own foods also. And then another way to do that, another thing to do is to see that more African restaurants are established. People want to taste African food, they can't get that. So there is a lot that could be done all within this, but policymakers have to.
I think we lost Mr. Ikedi for a second.
Realize that with arts and culture.
For a second. Yeah. Thank
So
you
if
very
we do
much.
that, yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Mr.
Thanks.
Mr. Richard, I just wanted to go to you. I saw you nodding in agreement. What is your, what are your thoughts? What would you like to add to what Mr. Ikedi has just said there?
I agree with what he said. I think that Africa right now is just very, people are very interested, outside of Africans. So I think we should just try to bring more worth and more value to what we have, and really just take control and control it, because if we don't, then other people will benefit from it like they have been in the past. But I feel like now is a new time, so we should definitely use our intelligence to be able to keep the legacy for who's going to come after.
And as a PR, personnel and specialist, what are you, within your industry, within your discipline, what are the things that you're also looking at now, doors that you're looking to probably knock on to say, this will benefit us a little bit more, a little bit exposure here would help? What are the areas that you're looking at to take this to another level?
Oh man, I mean everywhere. So I've recently started working with BT to do documentaries to help us tell our stories, starting with the African giants. So and also giving them the script almost how to talk about the different places in Nigeria. Starting with Nigeria, because Nigeria is definitely the dominant area. That's where most of the music is coming from. It's a
Yeah,
thriving industry there. So we have to let people know that like what Lagos looks like. Compare it to New York City, because it feels like New York City to me, like the hustle and bustle.
yeah,
So people here can get it. And then also talk about other areas like PH, Port Harcourt. Like we know that's where Burna Boy is from. Like what's the difference is? Is it difficult for someone from there to make it? Do they need to move to Lagos? Like, tell the stories and make it parallel, because we all know where Jay-Z is from. He's from Marcy Projects. We may never
facts.
go there, but we know the name of the place and we know what it looks like. So it's we just have to do more connectivity, so people, especially Black America, doesn't feel like, okay, this person is African and I'm not part of them, because there's a lot of that here,
Yep,
especially in America. So for people to be able to also see that Africa is not what we've been watching on TV, with child starvation, all these things. Like it's actually a very beautiful place, right?
yep,
With rich people, all those things. We have to do the work and say those things and show it. So
absolutely.
that's what I'm so passionate about, us telling our stories and helping to make sure that both sides, America and Africa, understand and respect each other, most importantly.
Well, Ibim, I know your art is very important, is another important part of this puzzle in trying to, tell the narrative of the African. How are you using this art in reconstructing the narrative that especially, Africans generally have, that they're poor, impoverished, and, and people don't have as much? Tell us a little bit about that.
So like I'm really excited what the Dean was talking about, like Port Harcourt, because I'm from Port Harcourt too, and I live in Port Harcourt currently. And um starting my actor career, I experienced this thing where a lot of people felt like I wasn't African enough, or I wasn't a contemporary African artist because I wasn't painting malnourished children breastfeeding from their mother's breast, and showing poor communities and stuff. And so when I started showing my works outside the country, I went to South Africa, Paris, Brazil, and I told people like, you forget that Nigeria has the richest man in Africa. You forget that Banana Island is the richest neighborhood in Africa. You forget that Nigeria is number 8 in oil producing countries in the world. And when people come to Africa, you go to a community in Nasarawa State, or one of the northern states, and you go and snap with poor children. You don't go to mega cities like Port Harcourt, Lagos, Akwa Ibom, and the rest. And this is the narrative. In the UK, in the US, they have slums, but they don't show that side. Even in Qatar right now that they're hosting the World Cup, Qatar has a lot of slums. They have like a lot of places that are undeveloped, but they don't push that side to the media. We always want to project Africa and the black community as people who are minors, as people who are suffering. There's suffering everywhere in the world. Why are we not pushing, the fun part of it? Just like what you're saying, music right now is bringing Grammys to Africa. Is making people know that yeah, you can pay attention to African music. But art is another huge industry alone. Last year alone, the art industry in the world grossed over $90 billion, and black art alone was 80% of the auction record. So you can imagine how art has shifted. People are no longer thinking of the Mona Lisas and the Van Gogh and the rest of them. People are now thinking of African art, African contemporary artists. Before, being a Port Harcourt person, people were like, oh, I need to move to Lagos, I need to move to Lagos. But I'm here in Port Harcourt, I'm selling my art for thousands and thousands of dollars. I'm training in different countries without having to move from here.
Mm.
So it's just something that a lot of us have to be passionate about. And that's what I'm really passionate about. Like, I'm pro-African, I'm pro-Black, because I think that we're not a minority, we're a majority. And we need to really, 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 stand our ground in the world generally.
So, can you hear me, everybody? Great. So I wanted to put this
Yeah, we
final
can hear you.
question to everybody, starting with Mr. Ikedi. I just wanted to ask you for what your final words and would be to the audience watching about the importance of media in promoting Africa, in putting us in the right positions, and ultimately taking advantage of this spotlight that we have.
Well, there has to be some understanding, even within the media industry, about the importance of telling our own stories. Because most times we think the standards are foreign. The standards are global, but in doing that also, we have to ensure that while the standards are global, that we do not lose our own culture because we're imitating others. So it's very important that the media tells stories that are our stories. There's a lot of freshness about Africa. And it's very compounding for some people to know how big we are, the size, the different cultures, even within the continent. Because consistently, Africa is treated like one country by most people. They say, I'm going to Africa. They don't even know we have over 54 countries and counting. So we need to tell those stories and then benefit from the freshness. People do not believe we have the type of standard of living, in quotes, that we have. We have the type of stories we have. We have the types of forests and rivers and so on that can produce great sceneries for films and all that. So once we start marketing ourselves, and it has to be through our media, in collaboration with our own people who are involved in films and so on, I don't see any reason going outside Africa to shoot any film about Africa. Even about other places, people come to Africa to shoot those films. So it's important we start selling ourselves and selling ourselves very well. Thank you.
And Richard Dean, over to you, your final word.
I'm pleased that this conversation is happening. I'm happy that I've connected with you guys because I think we are aligned in our thoughts, and I'm happy for Africa right now, and I'm just going to continue to push Africa everywhere that I go.
And Ibim, I know you spoke passionately about the arts. What would be your final word on this incredible moment that we have, the use of media and propagating the narrative that we want, and how we need to make sure we take advantage of this era?
So I want every African around the world in diaspora to come back to Africa and let's develop Africa. The Western world is already a built up space. Africa is a huge construction site, which means there's so much development going on in Africa, which means each and every one of us is needed here in Africa. So I want us to rewrite our stories. I want us to push ourselves. I want the world to know that there's so much untapped potential in Africa, and it's not about poverty, corruption, war, terrorism. Like that's just one narrative that we're pushing. So I just want us to really push ourselves out there, and then, like, trust me, the world is yet to hear from Africa.
Listen, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us today on this incredible panel. Richard Mbati, Mr. Ikedi Iziguzo, Ibim Kuki, and myself, Adesope Olaji, all the way here from the UK. The conference continues, and hopefully we will have more opportunities like this to speak in the future. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.